year and help our kids be successful and grow in knowledge and in wisdom and learn from the people around them, the life skills they need to be good citizens and productive human beings. I thank you, Lord, for this board and for the task before us to provide what our students need to be successful. I pray that we would be mindful of them in all the decisions that we make. Help us to have clarity of thought and understanding of the topics, and help us to be agreeable even when we don't agree. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Show me the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. First item is recognitions. All right, so we're gonna. Justin, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So Wendy, all right, Justin, you're gonna present the 226. Come on up.
All right. Well, y'all know me, I don't give these out very often, so I kind of put a little prestigiousness behind it. But I want to introduce Mr. Charles Chambers. Charles is our warehouse delivery guy. I've been with us for about 2 years, and this guy epitomizes what the 226 award is all about. Kind of give you a brief rundown of what his routine is of the day. Loads up, get ready, makes all his deliveries out from campus to campus, incoming and outbound mail, packages, all that. Helps check them in, gets back, stages up for the next morning, and in the downtime, he's always got something to do. Whether he's wiping down high contact surfaces, washing windows, picking up trash. I never see the guy take a break. I don't know how he does it. But from other departments to campuses, I've never had any complaints. It's always lots of kudos. As a matter of fact, the only complaint I ever got about him is he works too damn hard and makes everybody look too bad. But I mean, when we talk about the 226 and that extra mile, this one is it. This is the one step further, the above and beyond. So with that, I wanted to recognize Mr. Chambers for everything he does for the district and how well he makes my job look.
That's it. Good deal.
You don't want to get a dinner in the background?
Oh, yeah, you do.
Very good.
He even knows what to do and you don't.
I guess I'm out of here then. Maintenance report's next. You're gonna deal with it.
Thank you, sir.
Very well deserved. Yes.
That's it.
All right, that's it, correct? All right. So, Cody, we're on to campus communication.
Thank you, sir.
So, who you have first? Arrow first.
That's what happens when you turn it in first? I'm gonna be late. All right, we'll keep it short and sweet. We had our Miss De La Rosa. She's been in here several times for the Shining Star Award because she's always doing the absolute most at all times. So she had this fun idea just to have I don't know if y'all have seen TikTok, watch TikTok, but they have the JCPenney's photo shoot. So we did that for our staff back to school pictures and had a lot of fun. So that's what the first 2 slides are, just the different teams that we have on campus. And we have them printed and they're going to be framed in our front office. So if you want to come see, come on by.
That's cool.
We had our back to school bash. We did this in lieu of Meet the Teacher. All of the teachers sat in the gym and we recruited some dads to come cook some hot dogs so they were able to go to the cafeteria, get any of the resources that they need. Followed to the gym where they met all of their teachers. The teachers said they felt like they were speed dating and it was awesome. And then they could go outside, grab them a hot dog and have fun and then wrap things up and head home for the night. So it was a very good turnout. That's us at convocation, the whole staff. We only had 4 new faces this year, so everybody else is pretty much the same. And then our first day of school, our theme this year is going for the gold with the Olympics theme. And that's some of our dairy cans on their first day of school. Yep. I included Ms. Hartney specifically because she's a CHS grad and now teaching second grade at Barrow Elementary. And Mr. Miller was her math teacher, right?
It was.
There you go.
The best math teacher she ever had. Mr. Kenny, hi.
We're starting off with senior sunrise. They all went and did that the other morning and came back to school in their shirts and very excited to start the class of 2025's final school year at Columbia High School. So it was fun starting Midnight Madness. We see we've got Elmo in full action. We've got him who'll be on the sideline for the games. It was a fun evening. The boys were very excited to get in the pads and start hitting each other. We had the dancing dolls, cheerleaders all out there. And we had Ms. Jones interviewing volleyball players, cross-country players. And so she had the mic going through the stands and was interviewing throughout the evening. So it was a fun night. I wanted to share a little bit about that. And we have volleyball starting off. So they've had an up and down season so far. Beat Lamar Consolidated, which was the high. Tournaments are kind of hit or miss. So we've had some highs, had some lows, but getting them started and Coach Laker's showing her excitement there. So we're all excited to continue on with that season. And then we just wanted to show that we've got the Chromebooks out in kids' hands. We've started our NWA math testing and English started today, and we will finish handing out Chromebooks tomorrow.
Junior high, what's there?
All right, so I wanted to spotlight our helpers. We have been so blessed to have our student volunteers come up and help get the campuses ready, walk the schedule, opening the doors, passing out information. Anytime we put a post out there for students to come up, we have been blown away with the amount of students who want to come up and help on campus. So I wanted to spotlight them and they have been a lot of help. We had our bout camp. We had great numbers turn out for bout camp for our incoming 6th graders. And if you notice, and we had walk the schedule as well. If you notice the smaller picture on the right, that is our cafeteria for our athletic meeting before walk the schedule. There was no seats available. So moving that to walk the schedule night and having our parents already on campus and really valuing their time and allowing one night for them to come up and get all of those things in at one time seemed to be beneficial. We had a great turnout for walk the schedule. And then finally, we've had a lot of community support for getting a kickoff back for start the school and the start of the school year. We had Coach Frederick come in and bring boxes of school supplies. He taught math for us last year and has opened a business for Throw Munch, a restaurant. We had the Ladies of Destiny do back to school packages for some of our new teachers. PTO put together teacher kits. Miss Morrow, one of our retired teachers, brought in Chick-fil-A on the first day, and we've had just a bunch of things from the community that I wanted to say thank you for. It really makes the back to school, the teachers look forward to that and the students look forward to seeing that support as well. So wanted to give them a shout out.
Good deal. Ms. Bolton, I think you're next.
Yes. Well, to piggyback on what she said, we also have had great support from Mary's, even some local realtors and things like that have come in and provided breakfast and donuts and things for our teachers. That's been a wonderful treat for them as well. My first picture is just highlighting some first day smiles, some kids on the first day of school. So excited to be there. We had such a smooth start to the year. Just so grateful for that. All the kids were so excited to be back. And then I just wanted to highlight on the next slide some of the things that we did to get ready for the school year. We did a couple things differently this year. Well, actually, we started last year with a kindergarten orientation meeting for our kindergarten parents, and it was well attended. We did that again this year. Ms. Graham led that up. And we had the cheerleaders, the high school cheerleaders, actually come and perform for the kids. And they had like a welcome row, and they shook their pom-poms for them as they came in the door, and all the kids were pretty excited about that. We also did ESL appointment meet the teachers, where they had a translator take them on a tour and answer any questions that they had. And then in addition to that, for the first time ever, we did a parent orientation for our new families or anybody who wanted to come, and we made a parent guide for them that kind of went through all of our safety protocols and procedures so that they know what to expect at our school. But these next two pictures are actually Meet the Teacher Night. We had a resource fair. We partnered with CBISD to do a resource fair, and we had Workforce Solutions, True to Life Ministries, Health Networks, employment agencies, mental health services, the Dream Center, lots of different things for parents to connect with to help them with any needs that they might have to. And that was a huge hit and very well attended to. So I just wanted to share that.
I'm excited to get to share about Wild Peach Elementary today. So, it's fun to learn, being with the littles to start my education career and now coming back to them. It has been such a blessing. Right now, we have kicked off our color weeks. And so yesterday we had Red Day. Today is Orange Day. And I am realizing as I'm laying out my clothes that I need to step up my game, and I thank goodness for Amazon Prime. So some of our students wearing red from yesterday. And then here, classroom procedures. Our teachers have really started just laying the groundwork with expectations and procedures transitioning through hallway, but then they were eager enough to start letting our pre-K students use glue, which for pre-K teachers is a big thing because you don't think about it. Glue sticks are purple now, so you have to use a little glue and then it turns clear, so there's still glue there, then put it down. So teaching all the little things that we as adults tend to look past. So it was fun to see them letting go of what fears they did have and just do it. So they did that. And then to highlight two of our teachers that we have. So Miss Vieta on the left, she is one of our teacher apprentices. She is on her 4th step, and she is currently in our pre-K bilingual class. And she is under the you can see the back of Mr. Raymond's head, and she is doing a phenomenal job. So she is very excited, very eager to learn, and the apprenticeship program is really helping her to achieve what her end goals for her career are. The lady on the right, that is Coach Miss Hansen. Miss Hansen came to us and is in charge of running our new TRIP program. It is a grant that we received at Wild Peach for our students who happen to be autistic and working to get them more time in a general education classroom. And she is doing everything she can to make sure that those students have that opportunity to be included. And she has worked schedules for 10 plus different students on individualized schedules for them to have that appropriate time outside of the classroom with their general education peers. And so they're both new to Wild Peach, and they are both just doing an amazing job.
Okay. And speaking of Wild Peach, I want to say the facts visited Wild Peach today.
Yes, they visited Wild Peach and the junior high, actually. They're doing an article tomorrow over the apprenticeship program, just to kind of update you guys. We have 22 apprentices currently. We have 5 of them that are going to be resident teachers, which means they're in their year 4, so by next year they should be certified teachers. One of them, Miss Cohey just spoke about, she's doing the bilingual program. I got to see her in action today. She did awesome. And then 3 are at the junior high, and then 1 we are going to hopefully place in November. So it's rolling along really well.
I did check online a while ago, and the article's already posted. So fantastic article. So everybody gets you a copy tomorrow to look at it. So hopefully pretty nice. Pretty nice one. Okay.
That's neat. Ms. Cohey,
Yes, sir.
so when you started that off, you said you started in there and now you're back to, you're not insinuating that it's short-term back there, are you? I mean.
I've got a ways to go before I retire.
Okay. I just trying to clarify that connotation of what you were
Until
saying.
you get rid of me, I would love to stay where I'm at.
Okay. Just being sure there, okay.
So don't get rid of me.
Any citizens you heard, anybody sign up? Chief, get back there, okay. Bring us to reports, start off with maintenance.
Mr. Williams.
All right. Well, not much has changed since last meeting. We have just finished up our E3 inspections on the sports lighting towers. Those guys, matter of fact, left today, come out and did all their inspections, measuring, checking the bases, whatever they do to determine that, hey, those poles are good to go to reuse. I haven't got the report yet, but the general wink and nod is we're good to go. Construction continues over here.
I'm sorry, that would be Football field, baseball field.
Softball field. Yes, sorry, all 3 of our sports complex. Excuse me. Construction continues over here across the street. Really nothing new on that. I really have a whole lot for you guys today.
So we do have one thing for you. So in your packet, you have, looks like this little map and what that is.
Oh, yes.
From Wild Beach Elementary. Yeah, it's one of mine. The campus just put information in there for us, so I don't have to go through that a little bit.
What you will find once you come across that is our water well that we've talked about. This is kind of the general location, the closest we can get it to the building based on the TCEQ regulations, needs and boundaries, and distances away from property lines, buildings, and any source of contamination, which are close as the lift station right outside the back door. So that is the closest we can get. It's about 200 or so feet away, but it's a whole lot better than the 1,500 that we are at currently. Given that, I've let Mr. Harkness know, the engineer, hey, if that's as close as we can get it, let's move forward. Let's work up the engineering data on that. Let us know whether that's needs to be a 4-inch, a 6-inch, all that good stuff, so that we can take that and then go out and do what we intended to do. And with a level playing field, have the different drillers bid on the process. So, moving forward, that's where we're at on that. Moving forward, as soon as he compiles that information, we'll get it together. Hopefully soon, but he did say that it's a little lengthy process because that's a lot of legwork on paperwork, submitting to the state, waiting on them. But as soon as that's together, then we'll be able to bring it back and say, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's our proposals, and then we can decide from there.
Any issues with the other well yet?
No, we're still hanging in there. I mean, except for when electrical issues, but that's on the utility side. It's never on our end.
Good deal. It's good news. One question. On the at the junior high, the football slash soccer goal.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, thank you for reminding me. I've talked to Chad Jones, who is on the West Brazos Soccer Club. He mentioned to me yesterday that they're going to reach out to Coach Pena, find out where they got them from, because I think their intention is to buy and replace those damaged soccer goals from the storm on the junior high practice field. There was a combination soccer goal and
Cobble soccer goal.
The football uprights, yes.
Okay. They're damaged?
One of them, it tipped over and it broke it. It snapped the wheel. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, they're looking at finding out where athletics purchased that from and considering buying some new ones.
So we did that internally. That would have been in 2019-2020.
Yes. So.
Been that long?
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Seemed like the other day, don't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, Coach just wanted me to reach out to you about that one. I noticed it was down last week when I drove through.
Right. We've got it all picked up. Oddly enough, they thought they could fix it, but the day after we took it up and tore it apart, it's when they said, "Hey, we're gonna fix that." Well, a little late now, but so it's picked up. But they're gonna see what they can do to help out with it. And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Safety and security?
All right, got a little bit to talk about tonight, but I'll try not to be too long. Just, I got a packet of funds for you in here about that. It's all together though. Just so you know, the shatter resistance film job is complete other than a couple touch-ups that they're gonna come back next week and do. So basically what you have now is all exterior doors, glass exterior doors and ground level windows have shatter resistant film installed on it. So that's done. It came to a cost of $167,000, and we paid for that money out of the school safety. So, Chief had alert training August 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Had multiple first responders attend. I think they had fun playing out in G-wheeling. Chief, you got anything you want to add to that? Talk about anything y'all did, went over?
Now, I'd just like to thank Mr. Kenny and the staff and the board and Mr. Galloway Miller for allowing us to use it, because I know they've been turned away from other school districts, wouldn't let them use the facilities. There's nothing better than being able to use a school building, and for our purposes, we have actual, instead of some makeshift building. But I know it's all from Lake Jackson training guys. They told me to let y'all know thank you. I know it kind of inconvenienced some teachers of just a little bit, nothing major. But we look forward to going back in there again, hopefully next year, especially before they start tearing down the G building and the F building. But it was a good turnout. We had agencies from Danbury, West Columbia PD, Constable Bronner's office, and Lake Jackson officers. Hamilton ISD sent some people. We had a good turnout.
Maybe you can do it right before they do tear it down, and y'all can do like knock down the doors and stuff.
Like we did in the
I mean, they try to, they did that in
That's what we did with the E building. We did some entries, and we'll do the same thing. I'll come to y'all, let y'all know, give us permission before they tear it down to do some breaching on the buildings. That's gonna be torn down. That's actually really good training, hands-on training.
Good.
That's all I have, but I want to thank y'all again.
All right, next on the list, I know I went over this last month, but I just want to be sure that I'm covering it again. Exterior door checks. Campus has submitted all their exterior door checks. We're required to do that twice a year. We do it once in the summer, and then we do the second one in December and January. What they do is they make sure they go around to every door, make sure they open, make sure they close, make sure they latch, make sure the returns are working. And then for any issues, or if there's any issues, we immediately put work orders in right there so Justin and his guys can get in there and get those corrected before the start of school. So appreciate Justin and the hard work. I know they've been swamped and taking care of all that stuff, but they do a great job. Additionally, we need that stuff fixed because to keep our doors closed, because we're also required daily / you're required to do weekly audits for your intruder, whenever we have our intruder drills, but I think all of our campuses do daily drills and record those. So just wanted to give you a little bit on that. The big news of the month was the over-the-counter. Some of you may have heard about it, some of you may not have. So on August 1st, we get an email from the Board of Nursing, the State Board of Nursing, that says, based on what the guidelines to be a practicing nurse says, that you are no longer allowed to distribute over-the-counter medications to students without a doctor's order, regardless of what your school board policy says. Well, our school board policy says that we get to appoint an employee to do that, and historically we've done that. 2006, there was guidance from the Board of Nursing that said a nurse could give these over-the-counter medications with parent permission, which is our current policy. Parents come in, they have to bring their medicine in the original box, it has to be labeled, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that just made everything go crazy. So we can't do that, what are we gonna do? But it's all in the semantics. It says the legal framework is being built, meaning it hasn't been done yet. So we had decided at that time, along with a couple other districts in the area, that we were just going to keep doing what we do. So our current policy right now is our nurses are still administering over-the-counter prescriptions, but there has to be a conversations because the parents must bring the medicine to the schools. Kids can't bring the medicine to the school. So the conversation is when you walk in the door, when the parent comes in, you have a conversation with them, and this is what we're doing. We're handing them this document. So if you look at that packet, past this thick packet, it looks like this, except it doesn't have Miller in big letters on top of it. It's a OTC medication authorization form. And what we're currently doing right now is our nurses are handing this to their parents or to the parents and saying, look, I can currently give you your child these over-the-counter medications, but in a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, this could change. If you would like for me to continue giving that, I need you to get this to your doctor and have them sign it so that we have an order to deliver. So that's our current procedure, what we're doing right now. It's been going good. Matter of fact, the day it came out and we started talking, I called my doctor. I use a big doctor for my girls in Houston, Boot Saverick. Said, hey, I need an order for some pain medication for my kids. Oh yeah, send us the form. So big districts have already been doing it. We reached out some of our smaller ones, and I know that some of our smaller doctors have already given forms, created forms with general orders on them to the parents. We've been getting those in. So when was it? Yesterday, we got a new directive from the State Board of Nursing, and when I saw it come in, I'm like, okay, here we go. And originally what it said, we're sorry that we've created a ruckus. We're still determining in our opinion, blah, 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 blah. However, we're taking time to look at the legal framework and create additional guidance as of now, act in good faith using the previous guidance of 2006. So we're good doing what we're doing. Don't know if there'll be a time this year where this may all come to a head again, but that's where we're at in regards to this. Another thing that came up with that is because if you said, we were thinking, well, okay, if you have to have a doctor's order to give over-the-counter medication, that simply took away corrective behaviors that our nurses do on a regular basis. For example, a kid falls down, scrapes his arm, comes in, clean the wound, apply hydrogen peroxide. Guess what? Hydrogen peroxide is an over-the-counter medication. Butt paste for our pre-K kids that may still be in diapers. So what we did, if you look at this last, and we had this years ago, we hadn't done it in a while, but what we did is we reached out to some doctors, we reached out to Dr. Bottenfield, and basically we got standing orders for basic care. It looks like this, has a signature page on the front, even though this is just a report, it's not an action item. And basically, if you look at the table of contents, you'll see where it goes, abrasions, allergies, insect wings, and basically it's just things that we currently do in these situations and that we've always done. The care that we provide to students. However, we now have a doctor's order, because if you look at the pack, you see that Dr. Bottenfield has signed this order. So they do have a standing order to administer basic aid to our students. So does anybody have any questions over that? It's kind of been in the news, it kind of hasn't been in the news. If not, the last thing that I have, Chief's report is in there for this month, but I believe, Chief, it says there's nothing on it, correct? Okay. Nothing went on in the month of July for Chief. So, last but not least, we had to reschedule our safety school committee meeting for July, based on requests from our emergency response people because of the hurricane. So currently, we're tentatively rescheduling that for September 4th. That's a Wednesday. Always try to do it on Wednesday. If you can come, we would love for you to be there. 4 o'clock in the morning. And with that, that is all I have for you, unless you have any questions.
All right. Instructional update.
All right, Cody, will you pull that up, please? So as we're getting ready, if you'll remember last year there was a lawsuit, and so the state did not publicly release accountability. That lawsuit kept them from doing that this year, even though the lawsuit was about those certain rules. The state went ahead and established that. They have sent us based on the testing this last spring, our predicted accountability scores. What we're showing you tonight is our basic projection of where we think things would land. I think I put in your board letter that, as expected, because the lawsuit was keeping the state releasing accountability, and that the rules last year are the same rules as this year, that has been upheld again. And so as of right now, the state is not allowed to release accountability. There's a hearing in Austin front State District Court on August the 26th to address this. And so we'll see where it goes. So as of right now, I think we'll show you in here some of the things of why the lawsuit happened in the first place. So Sam, do you want to briefly cover this for them so they can kind of understand the calculations?
I think that this is the same document that we did last time. We pulled it out of on Data Suite. Some of the things that we noticed though, this when we got our raw data, which is a lot of calculations and Chris calculated it by hand, that some of the percentages were a little off on the overall score, meaning some were higher and some were lower, about 1% or so. So again, this is a rough estimate of what's going to be the outcome. So they basically told us what our scale score is. Well, they didn't tell us they told us what our component score is, and then you have to convert that to a scale score. And then you have to do all the data on it, and you get your achievement score, your school progress part A, school progress part B, which is putting you in with other like schools. And out of those three, they pick the highest one, and it will count 70%. And then the closing the gap is domain 3, and that is the federal requirements of meets, and they take 30% of that, and they come up with the weighted points, and then your overall scores. And then they rate you in A, B, C, D, or F.
One of the biggest concerns, of course, with this was testing was different. First year ever for all online mandatory, all online testing. You know, if you wanted to do paper and pencil, you had to turn in a reason for that and be approved for that. So that's number one. That's number two. Changes in basically, if you remember, we used to sit around and we would talk about writing scores. Well, that's incorporated into the ELA test now. You know, there's conversation pieces of what that looks like and how that's graded. Some of you may remember the news story that broke last spring that that student writing was being scored by AI. All right, so yeah. Just saying, if somebody's stealing the vote, you know, they're stealing student scores, right? And, you know, one of my conversations pieces with my colleagues is if they're going to use AI to grade it, they ought to let the students use AI to write it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Anyway, one of the biggest pieces I want Mr. Miller's going to talk about, and it's what we call our CCMR, and that really affects us at the high school, but then because the high school is the only one, it affects the district as well. And so, long story short, what's happened, if you remember from last year, with CCMR, the rules changed. But CCMR, the way it's reported, it runs a couple years behind. And so as they changed the rules, we've already completed 2 years. And so that was one of the big reasons last year. They changed the rules, but we had no opportunity to go in and affect our accountability now. It would be our accountability in 2 years. All right. So Mr. Miller's going to kind of talk to you about it. Long story short, we have the same number of accountability as we did last year, and the high school, and basically the high school goes from a B to a D. Same data, same kids, same result. Just a different way of grading it.
So what you have is the biggest reason why a lot of districts are upset in regards to the lawsuit, because a lot of schools were really working that CCMR data for the benefit of their students in their community. So if you look at up there and you look under student achievement, for elementary schools and junior high, it's basically how the kids do on the test. For the high school, it's 40% of it is how they do on the test. 40% of it is your college and career readiness measure, your CCMR. And then 20% of it is graduation rate. We're fine. We were at 98.7% graduation rate. Testing wise, we were about where we are. We're a little down. We were higher in some, a little bit down in algebra. Last year, or the cohort that was used for our previous year, our CCMR data was at 58%. we're usually right around between 55 and 60%, meaning 55 or 60% of our seniors meet CCMR status. There's a lot of ways they can do that. You've heard me talk about it before, but some of the most common for our kids is dual credit. You have to take an English or a math class for dual credit. You've heard me say that learning frameworks counts as an English class, so any kid that takes learning frameworks is automatically CCMR. TSI scores, if you score at the college level, we have a lot of kids that do that in English, not so many in math because they don't take the math, because they don't need it for dual credit. SAT, ACT, again, they have to meet, a lot of our kids meet the English, they don't make the math. Math's a little bit more difficult. Miss Bailey can attest because she's the testing coordinator at the high school that administers those tests. And then some other things, so the other most common thing is the certifications. And you've heard me give reports about the number of certifications. Well, they've changed it. For example, they have what they call sunsetting IBCs, sunsetting certifications. Used to, if you had Word or Excel, this is just an example, which is our most popular, and Cody knows because he's the one that administers the certifications, that those don't count anymore. So we've been able to maintain roughly the same number. Oh, and they don't include, for 2 years they weren't including our military ready kids because a lot of school districts were taking advantage of that, meaning they said, I'm going to join the military. Boom, okay, they counted. Well, now we have to actually get the DDR form from them, from the Department of Defense. We have to upload it to TEAL, to TEA, et cetera, et cetera. So they tightened the screws on CCMR and didn't give us time to adjust to it. And at the same rate, the things that we do, we've only dropped 2% with that cohort. So we're at 55%. Here's the example, the biggest example. Before the lawsuits started happening, which would have been this year and last year, if you scored 60% in CCMR, that was an 88%. You got a high peak. So there were many years that our CCMR was carrying our high school because we were at the 60% range, which means we were making them 85 to an 84. And that was bumping, that was basically 40% that we were getting in student achievement with a good graduation rate, and it was bringing testing scores up. That also counts in the closing the gaps under the federal requirement because there's certain thresholds that you have to meet in CCMR, and that's been affected by that too. So what you would see with that 69 that's on the board for the high school 2 years ago would probably have been an 84, 83, 84. That's how big the effect has been on the high school. Right now, 55%, you have to, 60%, 62% under the new system is a C, which we were always at 60% and we were a high B. We're a medium. So right now we're on track with the class of 25. We're at about 66% CCMR, so we're up. We should be a little bit higher with the previous cohort, 24, but then again, that data falls 2 years behind. So we're trailing 2 years because of this. And therein lies the reason why the districts are upset with the lawsuits. And that's how unfair it is. So, any questions about CCMR and accountability? Sam, did I miss anything?
No, very good.
So a key word that I heard was projected. Is this projected or is this?
That's our projected because until they actually release it and it's final, we don't know, right?
That's what we came up with, and that's about that's close to what I had.
We have the numbers, so like those numbers, the 73, the 62, the 71, those numbers are given to us. We have those, we know that. But when we, again, as you heard him talk about, the calculations are not just simple. It sounds simple, but once you go 40%, 40%, 20%, then it's a 0.56. Where's that, you know what I mean? Until you know,
Christine calculated, and now that you calculated,
Right.
we got the same thing on hand,
Right.
which is a little different than this.
Right.
Just a little, like 1%. But for something that's better.
So is this what we used to look at, where you had domain 1, domain 2,
Yes,
domain
yes,
3?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that's what calculates
Domain
the
one,
weighted
basically
reports.
domain 1 is student achievement, domain 2 is school progress, part A and B, and domain 3 is closing the kids.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Did they actually release last year, or did we just do our own calculations last year?
Our own calculation.
That's what I thought. I didn't remember them officially putting anything.
Right. Yeah.
Still have it.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can add one thing,
You can't, we're moving on.
they've actually, just so you know, they have buckled down the CCMR, they've changed some of the requirements. Used to, you just have to earn a certificate. With this year's cohort, the ones that just graduated in this current class of 25, you have to have a certificate and you have to have so many courses in the program of study it fits. And then starting with the class of 26, you have to have a certificate and you have to be a completer in that program of study, meaning you have to have 3 or more classes for 4 or more hours. And so,
Will they go weighted higher?
no,
No.
no, they saw that that's what, how districts were hammering that because it was good for the kids. It's something they can take with them. And now let's do it. Let's.
And really with concentration degree plans now, it's gonna be hard to actually achieve that.
Which, you know, when we sit around, and as much work as we do with college and dual credit, and the statistics on the number of today's kid that goes to college, the number of times they change their major, everything we're doing,
We're putting them in a box and
we're putting them in a box early. And when they change, they're just gonna be further behind. I don't understand why we do that. But again, this is the accountability.
We
game.
being the state, not we being CBISD.
No, we being CBISD. We being the state that rules, we have to follow.
Right.
Just because you get good at something doesn't mean it's a bad thing or it needs to be changed. And that's the problem. But what we've been doing for our kids, I mean, and again, in CBISD, we know this. 46% of our kids over 20 years go to college. 46%. Over 55% of that 46% goes to Brazosburg College. That's what we know. That's CBISD. It hasn't changed. And so when you look at this, that we're going to put kids out there, it gets hard, right? It gets hard.
Well, we just have to remember that.
And so what happens is what Chris is telling you, that coherent sequence of kids have to not only get the certification, but they got to take class 1, 2, and 3. That's going to keep kids from being able to take 2 classes here and then take that one too.
And what happened to those kids?
Yeah.
Were not the ones taking dual credit or
Yeah.
making TSI, meeting TSI, SAT, ACT. So that's the kid that it's affecting. Because the kids that are taking dual credit are the kids that were gonna take dual credit. You got a handful in there that are gonna do it, but a lot of those certificate kids, they did it in their classes where they were learning vocational skills.
Crazy. Anything else?
That's it. While we are on instruction, there is an enrollment sheet towards the back of your folder, I believe. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I sent you that information this Friday in your packet. Numbers are up a little bit across the district. As you can see, we're up to 2,890 kids. You can see based on our projections of when we're budgeting. High school was at 902 as of today. Budgeted wise, we were looking at 929, so we're looking for 27. West Brazos Junior High, we budgeted for 649. Yeah, we budgeted for 664, they got 649. You can see West Colonial Elementary is actually 2 students now over than what we had budgeted for. Wild Peach is looking for 31. And then Barrow, you can see is plus 15. You know, that Wild Peach, when it comes to that early childhood, that pre-K, that's always a guessing game, and you can see kind of that's where the biggest piece of that number is right there. So. Anyway, the picture's brighter than it was last Tuesday, so hopefully this trend continues.
Still down 56.
Correct.
That's a big hit to our budget projection.
Right, and so that's one of the things we now, keep in mind, we used, I think, the ADA of 2750, I believe, which I think we were looking at like a 93% attendance rate. But if you'll remember, I told you if we would have had the 2950 kids we were thinking about at a 93% attendance rate, that was going to help us make up approximately half of that budget deficit. So this doesn't necessarily mean gloom, it just means we're not making up, if that makes sense. Okay.
Hopefully that will pick up, because I know there was a lot of people displaced because of the hurricane, and there's still a lot of homes in the area.
Right.
People still aren't back in because of it.
Okay.
So I would like to ask junior and high school how first day of school went. The stuff we talked about last month didn't come to fruition, and everything went fairly smooth and good.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good. Financial report?
Do we have anything?
Looks good. We're not over budget yet. I mean, it's really payroll is all that's in here and supplies, so there's just not a lot to talk about. We haven't started getting any tax revenue or anything like that. But
On the check register, there was a check for $292,000 for, was it Rusk? Was those the 2 buses we ordered? Okay. I thought that's what it was. Quarterly investment report?
it's a little late, but total, you can see that for general fund, we had about $514,000 in investment income. And then for INS, it was about $1.7 million. Yeah, $1.7 million, and that mostly is due to our bond money being in there, and then we're getting about 5.4% interest on it.
Really? Nice.
Weren't we gonna reach out to see?
We did, I did actually talk to him, and he said we would discuss it at convention.
Okay, perfect.
But he does know we want him to look at that.
Okay.
Good deal. Campus handbooks?
All right, so the campus handbooks, I did send to you an earlier communication. They are posted. If you'll remember several years ago now, we used to approve those at the board table. Then the guidance was to take them to what we consider administrative regulations, meaning you do have an appeals process in place for parents and kids, students and community members. So if there was anything in there, the appeal could come to you and then you handle it then. Technically, if you'll remember, if you approve the handbook, you kind of take the appeal out. So that was the reason for those things to be regulations. But we do have the campus handbooks in there, the DAP handbook. So if you do have any questions, Mr. Miller is the handbook guru for the district. And then as well, the campus principals are here if you do have any questions about any of the campuses.
I didn't see red in there, so I'm assuming they stayed fairly close to what they were for.
Anytime it's a non-legislative year, yeah. There's no changes, right, generally. There might be a shift.
Same with the code conduct.
Yeah.
We'll get to it in the action items.
Employee district handbook, you're talking, that's.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's there in case you have any questions.
Bring us to the bond 22 report.
All right, things are going good. As you can see, a lot of progress. I actually got a chance to see, they're actually hanging lights, starting to hang lights in the competition gym. So that, even though it looks kind of rustic from the outside, that thing's painted on the inside, and the walls are painted, the ceilings are painted, the structure's painted, and man, they've soundproofed the ceiling, and it's rocking and rolling, it's going good. As you can see, the tennis courts are there. We do have a little, if you remember talking, they're going to put in basically a new transformer along 16th, no, 17th Street, I guess it is, Business 35, that's going to feed the power to the metal building and to the tennis courts. The tennis court light poles will be here next week. They'll be drilled and put in place. But if that transformer work is not done, new transformer work is not done, we won't have lights until that happens. So we're getting close there. The restroom we talked, the little like park style restroom facility that we talked about for the tennis courts, we were looking at a kind of like we did at Wild Peach, where it's built off site and it's delivered and put down. But evidently, those groups require preparation to be a certain way, and that preparation actually doubled the cost of the building. And so Drymala has gone back and is working on a brick and mortar build it to that design for us. And so they said we should have that cost within this week. So it's going to happen, though. They're going to be able to make it happen. So. We'll continue to work on that. Schedule-wise, the hurricane, if you remember talking, the hurricane blew through on a Monday. They were putting up brick on Tuesday. Wow. It did put them behind because of the wind and the water. There were some things interior that it did put them behind, but they were able to keep working on other stuff, and so it didn't change the target dates. It's going to all catch up and be good. We're still good to, after we come back from the Thanksgiving holidays, we should be moving in to the gymnasium. And the locker rooms and the weight room and the training offices, we should be moving in. When we do that, then G building, the competition gym, the girls' locker room will be taken down. It'll give them more access to the library area and to start construction on the main foyer of the competition gym. That will not be, there's not room to build that right now. So when the gym does open, we'll actually be entering here from 16th Street from the back, walking in. So that'll be a little bit of parking, for basketball season. When we do open up, it'll be a little parking issues. And we'll have to have some guidance. We'll have to have police officers, administrators on duty to help people learn the routines, but at least we'll be able to get in the building to keep the progress going. We're still on progress. Hopefully, when school ends next summer, when school ends this coming spring, we'll be making decisions about what furniture, desk, and all of those kind of things we're going to keep from the existing high school and get those moved into the new facility. We should have, right now we're planning on furniture mid to late June coming in. As soon as all of that happens, then Drymala will look at hopefully taking down F building and the Dancing Dolls Ag building. With that, they'll get as much work as they can done over the summer as far as getting all of that stuff out, and then with the new drive, parent drop-off, new parking here, new parking there, get as much done as they can before kids actually show up for school in August. So as of right now, gym's at the end of November, and then we should be starting school in the new facility in August of next year. So good to go. I do have an updated budget tracking for you. It's in your folder towards the back. Again, you can see the allowances. As of today, the allowances are down to 5.8 million. You can see that the last time I gave this, that was 6.5. But remember, the allowances are part of the 100% budget, but there's for graphics, there's an allowance for graphics. So graphics are part of that $63 million number at the top, right? It's a breakout of it. So the allowances are there to be, most of them are there to be used, right? There's a big Owner's contingency allowance is a big, contractor's allowance. There's an unforeseen conditions, like when we dug and we hit the pool out here, unforeseen condition. Or like when they're digging across the courtyard and they find an electrical line from 1964 that nobody knew about, those kind of things. But like the graphics that I've showed you for the interior of the school, the metal State of Texas Roughneck sign is going to go outside the gym. All of those are contained in these allowances. And so the idea is that we're not saving that money. The idea is they're there to be used. But what we don't want to do is for that money just to disappear. And so that's why, we talked about the beginning of trying to make sure that didn't happen.
I would like a breakout then of allowances that possibly would not be used. I mean, if you have a furniture allowance or a design allowance, that's going to be used. But owner's contingency, unforeseen, those type things should not be used unless we make a choice to use those for something that's found. Kind of break that $5 million out and give us what that number is.
That's easy. I have that. Okay. It's just, it's this big a document, right? So I can do that for you.
Yeah. Just so in my mind, that was that. So we have that amount, plus we still have the actual savings from, correct, so that's 2.2 up there. So.
Right. And then over here, if you remember, under that 63 there, you have additional amounts like the 3.9. That's architect and engineering. And then the testing, the 1.3, the technology, the 3.2, and then the FF&E 4.6. And again, like today, FF&E, the majority of that's furniture. I can tell you that's got 4.6. We turned in POs for about 1.2 in furniture right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We just, like I say, just for the board to,
so that you can see what they are.
Yeah, like I say, when you build a house, you have a plumbing allowance, a floor allowance, and that. Those allowances are going to be used.
Correct.
And so when I'm thinking of what we're looking at, it's something that we're anticipating that may not be used, that could be done for something else. So just kind of break it out.
I have it right here. I can kind of just, if you want to, while I'm talking about it.
You can just send it Friday.
Okay.
Don't do that now. That's close. Good. It is looking nice, though. CBISD Educational Foundation Report.
Okay. The next foundation meeting is set for August the 29th. It'll be at lunch here in the boardroom. The purpose of this meeting is after the last time we met, there were some a certain amount of money was taken out. The money that was basically the money that was put in with the 313s payment to the foundation was taken in and put in some short-term investments that will mature, I want to say September, October, but the kind of the purpose of the August 29th meeting from being there would be to look at kind of the strategy of how the foundation is going to operate, meaning we're going to help teaching staff, we're going to help student scholarships, we're going to help maybe going back and doing the grants and kind of identifying a certain amount and then keeping as much invested as we can and tied up. And so that's kind of the purpose. And so we will have, we did invest the money locally here in West Columbia with Edward Jones. And so Ben Tomlinson will actually be coming to that meeting to talk with the foundation about kind of how things stand based on what we did with the short-term investments and then kind of what his suggestion would be moving forward.
What time is that?
At noon on August the 29th.
Where at?
Here in the boardroom.
Okay.
You're all more than welcome to attend.
Last time, I don't know if we formally approved it, but we looked at the Sweeney investment policy. Excuse me. And their policy basically says that they would use anywhere from 0 to 5% of the investments, the excess investments each year, or the earnings each year off of what their seed money is. And so we talked about using those numbers, and then we talked about how do we invest so that we have short term, so if the market's up or down, you have enough to cover that, plus the scholarships for maybe 2 years or 3 years, and then you have some that's long term that's going to, not, I wouldn't say more riskier, but more growth companies, so you make a higher return versus a CD or something like that. And that's what the gentleman from Edward Jones is going to come and kind of talk about that, and the group's going to kind of look at, there's some members that want to just straight CDs, some want to grow it, and then so there'll be discussions about all of that on the 29th.
Are you going to list that as a meeting?
No.
Okay, so you need a count?
Well, you're not actually going to be voting. I mean, only certain people, you would be participating.
Okay.
Right, so, given that you're not going to be taking any action, if somebody thinks I should list it to me,
I think you should, because if four members show up, technically that's could be construed as a meeting.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that,
Yeah. From last time the foundation met, there's some, it seemed that everybody that showed up was very interested and engaged in what we're doing, so it seems like it's going to be a good committee. I was excited to see the quality of people that's on there. And we are limited to the number so it doesn't get too big, and pretty much have it set at the amount, people can come and listen or whatever. But I think the board has pretty much set the number of what we're doing, if I remember correctly from that standpoint. Before we move on, the other thing I meant to ask Justin when he was here, I did get 3 or 4 or 5 calls about the mold and us cleaning and stuff and that. How did that all go? Did y'all all happy with the jobs they did and stuff like that?
They're very thorough.
The rumors on the street was that we had mold going rampant and that, we're going to subject our kids to it. And then I said, no, we picked it up early. We're getting everything clean, blah, blah, blah. And everybody seemed to be happy from that. But I just want to be sure that y'all were satisfied if y'all feel like more needed to be done or whatever. So if y'all are good, that's great with me. Any other reports that you know of? Okay. We will go to the action item, and the first is to consideration and action to approve an agreement for the purchase of attendance credits, option 3 agreement, and to delegate contractual authority to the superintendent.
Julie will explain this one?
Good luck trying.
No, basically, it has to do with recapture. If our growth in the county was high enough percentage-wise that we could be subject to recapture, but we know we're not going to be, but we still have to adopt this saying if we do have to, that this year we actually selected that we're going to pay them the money, not that they'll net it with our, in our summary of finance. That way we have more control over
when and how it happens.
Yes, then we know that it's gonna happen. And so we just need you to say that Mr. Galloway has permission, that you appoint him the authority to make that selection and get the contract.
So I read this over and over, or most of it over and over. When they talk about tier 2 and it's 49.28 and we're at 57.4, what does that mean exactly? I mean, it was very confusing. It doesn't really say you're paying back. It doesn't say a lot of things. It just was, I took it more as a statement because there's a whole bunch of schools listed on that. It's over the 49.28.
Right.
Everybody in the area is over that, which of course a lot of them are chapter 41s.
And what happens is they take all of our, I call them block grants, but what we get for special ed, what we get for CT, all of that's considered into that number. And so when we might have more special ed kids that we get more money for, and that's usually what happens with us, then it makes ours go up, even though we're really not getting more than what we should get.
Okay.
It's just the areas we're getting it are higher need areas.
Well, the areas that we're getting it have a control. You can't take this and go spend it over there like the other money we're talking about.
So we've done this in the past.
Yes, we did it last year. It was the first year because of the growth in the county. Last year was the first year we had to do this because they said your growth was at a % higher than that could potentially make you pay money back, like Sweeney has to, like the Robin Hood.
And they're going off of last year's statement because the county hasn't come out with the certified values.
Yes, they
have.
have.
Read that, right?
Yes, they are going off the, not the certified, but the preliminary numbers.
And so we're gonna be purchasing average daily attendance credits.
We're really not, that's just saying we're gonna pay it back to them instead of them just taking it out of our money.
Do you know that, I mean, is that factored into the budget? Did you have some number for that?
No, because it's zero.
Okay,
It's zero. We're not going to have to
okay,
pay for
okay,
that.
so we're not going, okay.
No.
Yeah, my explanation when I talked to them, Casey, was like, okay, to get ready, they know these districts are gonna do it. And so to get ready for that, they put parentheses over here and over there, right? It just, I mean, it's like, I wanna say the bracket has like 4 times the amount of schools in it, right? And why this happens, that we don't know. right?
It just has to
Yeah.
do with your growth in your county. That
And the state forced every county over the last few
That's over a
years
certain
to raise the values,
Yes.
which causes more headaches for everybody. So that's just a perfect storm for.
Because I will tell you, I panicked last year when I got there.
I remember us doing it, and I remember going through it, I just couldn't remember the
I
details.
panicked that you have to do it. But I know, but it won't affect us. Yeah, but you gotta do it.
And
Well,
they
come
even show
explain that to the board.
they even show you projected
Yeah.
of what they think you're gonna have to return, and ours is zero.
Okay.
So it's just more paperwork, more things that you have to read.
Check that
I
box.
was gonna say, if they had no way to give back, we was getting ready to cancel school, and we was all gonna resign. That's a bunch of bull, having a deficit, and having to give money back, I wasn't going for that. So we're just saying option 3 and giving Mr. Galloway the right to sign that document.
Yeah, there
Is
should
that
be
right?
some language.
There's language on this page 2 of that document.
that you have to read.
Upon receipt of this letter,
No, for the
We delegate
2024.
contractual authority.
Here, you want me to do it?
yeah, make that motion.
Like, just close my. All right, for the 2024-2025 school year, we delegate contractual authority to obligate the school district under the Texas Education Code 11.1511C4 to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, Chapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.006. This included approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit netting Chapter 48 funding.
I'll second. All's in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Next is to approve the 24 certified totals.
And so we discussed during our budget meeting what the preliminary certified totals were, and they didn't come in much lower. So our M&O net taxable value is approximately 2.3 billion, and our INS net taxable is approximately 2.5 billion for certified totals this year.
Any questions or comments on that one? Make a motion, we approve the certified totals presented by Julie.
I'll second.
Second by Ray, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Next is to delegate an officer of resolution.
Yes, basically, this is just saying who's going to sign the calculation.
It's giving you the authority for it.
Well, it's
remember?
given me and/or Brazoria County, because Kristen, actually, our tax assessor, actually previews what Moat Casey did, and she actually signs it.
Okay.
She doesn't believe that I have the authority, and so, since we're contracted with them,
It says right there you
make it
did.
easy.
We say yea and nay and vote, it says you did.
And so I put Brazoria County tax assessor as well.
Correct.
So,
Any questions or comments on that one? I make a motion, we approve the resolution of the Board of Trustees, district resolution.
I'll second.
Second by Jackie, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Next is to approve the resolution adopting the 24 tax rate. Get ready, get ready, get ready.
Okay, so the first time in, I think it's been 7 or 8 years, our tax rate actually will increase this year about 10 cents, which is what we projected when we passed the bond. It is strictly all of this, the difference is INS tax rate that went up. And so our approved tax rate this year for M&O is 0.6669, and for INS is 0.2889.
I was just curious, in the resolution up top, it says that the 24 tax rate is 0.8995, but the breakout is 9558. I didn't know why there was a difference.
Are you looking at the
Resolution.
revenue?
The second attachment, 3D.
No new revenue. Voter.
The top paragraph says that the rates, $100 valuation for the district for 2024 at a total rate of 0.8995 to be assessed and collected duly as follows, and then it's broken down as what you just stated, which is 0.9558.
But listed as like a no new revenue.
Yeah, the no new tax revenue rate is the 0.85.
Yeah.
I thought when I read on here, I thought that was like 0.85 something. I couldn't get the numbers to match up.
I think that's last year's, that's just last year's number.
I assumed it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just last year's.
Yeah.
Okay. That number should be the 0.9558, right?
Correct. Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know it was a different.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the adopted tax rate with that change on that for the first paragraph to read the 0.9558 also.
I'm second.
That was you, James?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Okay.
What I just gave you is what I handed you a couple of times, Darren, while we were doing the bond talk. There's your tax history from 2024 all the way to 2010. And then at the bottom, when it gives you the other tax rates, those are actually the 2023 tax rates set last year by those districts, including us, just to give you an idea.
Approve student code of conduct.
Again, this one is, it's a non-legislative year, so there's really no changes in it.
Yeah, it's essentially the same code of conduct year to last year. Do you have any questions or anything you want to have to answer?
And I want to say, I guess the only really big change we talked about coming into this past year was vaping.
Correct.
Right. I feel we were several years ago, we were loading up the JJP with vapors. Now that's changed a little bit.
All vapes are DAP assignments.
Right.
Even tobacco vapes.
Right. R. Okay, we're keeping them in the district.
We had a year of that already. I think we had a pretty good plan.
Right. Then, but we still have that option if it happens multiple times.
We can send it to JJ.
We can still do that.
So maybe we end up keeping that building to put them in whenever we get off.
They've done a good, Jeff and Lee have done an outstanding job dealing with that. It's, they have a tiered process for it. It's not as punitive. Understand that, the tobacco vapes are essentially, you get caught with a tobacco vape, you go DAP, you get caught with a can of snuff, you go to ISS. It's because they said if you get caught with a vape, you go to DAP. So that might be changing next year, I think, probably for that. I mean, I know that. I mean, I don't know that, but.
But for this year, we have it set.
We did it last year and we have it set for this year.
I know Linda's been very bored since she's not building the building yet, so did you read all that and have any changes?
There were no changes from last time?
Nothing
Okay.
together.
I didn't know if you wanted to change.
No. But I got my own.
I'll make a motion, we approve the student code of conduct.
I'll second it.
Second by Becky, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Consent agenda is to approval of the minutes and the approved budget amendment donations. Would anybody like to get one of those pulled? Not hearing you. I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Second by Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Is that all we have for?
That's it, sir.
Okay. We will adjourn to the closed session pursuant to the Texas Governmental Code, the Opens Meeting Act, Section 551.074, to consider the employment of professional personnel, discuss the resignation, retirement of professional personnel, discuss the employment of personnel. Reconvene an open meeting and consider actions on items discussed in closed session. Thank y'all very much.